experience on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Great to be joined by this man. Tanner Kern is a man that has been joining me the last year or so. It's always great to get him aboard, and it's finally great to be able to meet you in person, Tanner. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, Greg, thanks for having me. It's been a good night so far. Won a little money on blackjack here. Couldn't be better. Could not be better.
Well, it's not necessarily the easiest to win money on blackjack, so that is tremendous. Always love to see that. And by the way, I know you were talking a little bit from time to time that you have a little bit of height, and you were not lying. I felt a little bit short when you came into the room, so I do appreciate you coming in here. And a team that might be feeling a little bit short in the way that they're priced is the Chicago Cubs. They're very slight underdogs. They're going to be playing against the Boston Red Sox in this one with the Red Sox. They're in between minus 115 to minus 120 favorites. And total on this game, we saw a few 9.5s very early on, and now this has shifted to 9. How do you view this one? Because I know that you're a man that you have a little bit of Boston running through your veins, and I think that this is a great pitching matchup with Brian Bayo against Kyle Hendricks, pair of guys that maybe there's going to be a little bit of regression on, but I lean towards the under.
Yeah, so I am a Red Sox fan, but I have no problem betting against them. In this spot, I'm just going to bet on hopefully no runs being scored. When we look at the Red Sox, they have been a very strong offensive team, but their guy going in this game, Brian Bayo, he's been sensational since his first few starts. He got the cobwebs out, and he's really come along. 6 straight quality starts, and he has been an absolute animal. He's going to go against Kyle Hendricks as well, and when you look at Hendricks, he's really delivered too, which has been shocking because that's not what we've come to expect from Hendricks over the course of his career. Both guys have an ERA right around 3, and the Cubs' offense has definitely been up and down. So I'm going to look for both pitchers to step up in this spot. Brian Bayo to lead the charge here. I think the Red Sox are going to get to Hendricks a little more than the Cubs are going to get to Bayo, but the under 9 is definitely a good bet here.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I am on the under as well, so we're in lockstep on that front. This one I think is interesting because with Shohei Ohtani, last time we saw him on the mound, he did leave with that blister, got lit up a little bit by the San Diego Padres, and as we know, there's a lot of speculation as to whether or not Shohei Ohtani is going to be with the LA Angels at the end of the month, and this start could be going a long ways with it because the Angels are hovering right around 500. They need some wins to be able to get themselves back into the playoff picture, and they're going up against an Astros team that has been able to ascend a little bit, with the Angels going to be getting them anywhere between about minus 150 to minus 160 on the money line, but I know you're looking a little bit more at the run line with this total at 8. Take me through what you're looking at on the run line, because with the Angels, you're able to get a relatively good plus price there.
We all get really excited about the Angels when Shohei Ohtani pitches, but he does have some flaws. He walks a lot of batters, and he does give up home runs. So I'm going to be on the Astros here at plus 1.5. JP France being on the mound. He's been very good this season, good enough to get the job done here. 4-3 with a 3.26 ERA and a 1.21 WHIP. Just 59 hits allowed in 66 innings. And the Angels have all the advantages in the offensive numbers, but when you look at their situation right now, Shohei Ohtani, coming off the blister on his finger, he's probably not even going to be an Angel in the coming weeks. And then you look at Mike Trout, he's also on the injured list right now. So there's just not a lot good going for Los Angeles. When we look at JP France, when he's been on the mound, the Astros have covered in his past 6 starts. And then on June 4th, he also pitched against Los Angeles Angels, allowed just 1 run on 3 hits. So I'm going to look for the Astros to get the job done here. Going to bet against Shohei Ohtani just because of the walk problems and the home run issues that we've seen from him on the mound.
Yep, with Ohtani as well. He's been quite a bit better at home than he has been on the road, but at the same time, you mentioned the blister. That is something to very much monitor, and we've seen a lot of guys be hampered by that in their next start. So certainly something to note with an Astros team that they were able to show a little bit of life on offense going into the All-Star break, as well as joining me on the show, we've got Tanner Kern. He does absolutely tremendous work over at DraftKings. Good to be able to get him in studio tonight, and good to be able to take a look at this matchup as the Baltimore Orioles. They've been able to put a nice charge into this AL East race. They're only 2 games back of the Rays entering into the second half. They play us to the Miami Marlins with Sandy Alcantara on the bump for the Marlins. Dean Kramer is on the bump for Baltimore, and Baltimore's anywhere between about a minus 120 to a minus 130 favorite. You're going to be able to get the fish at a very modest plus price, anywhere between about a plus 105 to a plus 110 with an 8.5. With Kramer, he hasn't necessarily been lighting the world on fire, but he's really been able to do a good job of ascending with his strikeouts. And for the Miami Marlins, their weak link in this rotation has been very surprisingly Sandy Alcantara. If you had told me prior to the year that the Marlins would be north of 10 games over 500 and one of their worst starting pitchers would be Sandy Alcantara, I'd be like, are you seeing into the future, or is this just you yanking my chain? Because I did not see that coming, to say the least. But how do you view this matchup?
Greg, if you would have told me that the Miami Marlins were going to be 53-39 and Sandy Alcantara would have a 3-7 record, I would have said you were crazy. But that is the case right now. So I'm going to be on the Orioles in the money line in this spot. When you look at Dean Kremer, has not been as good as Sandy Alcantara necessarily, but both guys have not been world beaters. And the Orioles offense has been getting the job done consistently, especially at home this season. When you look at the Orioles, they are 54-35 and just 2 games back of the Rays too. So they're smelling blood in the AL East water. The Rays have been -800, -900 the entire season to win the AL East. That line since shifted down to about -250 right now. So the Orioles have a legitimate shot to get the job done in this division. And I don't think they're going to back off in the second half. I think they're going to be full charge on and keep it going. Anthony Santander, Austin Hayes, Adley Rutschman. This young core is really getting the job done for Baltimore. So I like them in this spot, especially at home against the Marlins with Alcantara on the mound.
Yep, and I'm looking at the Orioles as well, but I'm seeing that run line price more around a +170 or so, and I think that there's a lot of value there because, to your point, the Orioles have been able to do a great job without necessarily one star player on offense, but just a system in general that has been able to move the line. So I'm in agreement with you on that one, and this one is a very critical one for the New York Mets, a team that they push their chips in the middle prior to the start of the season. So far, they have been coming up snake eyes, as you've got Justin Verlander taking the bump for the Mets. Julio Urias is going to be on the bump for the Dodgers. Total on this game is 8.5 with the Dodgers. This has come down a little bit, anywhere between about a -117 to a -125 on them. And with Verlander, he has pitched much better at home rather than on the road. But Urias, other than this year it's been a little bit more rough for him. He's always been a better road pitcher than a home pitcher. So I take a look at this total at 8.5, and I don't think it's the world's worst look.
So I'm going to stay away from the total here. I'm just going to go on the Dodgers on the money line. When I look at the over, I don't mind it, but I think Los Angeles is the play here. Justin Verlander, he's been better at home, as you said, but he still has not been good this season overall. And the biggest thing that I've seen from Verlander is the lack of strikeouts. Only 57 strikeouts this season in 70 innings. He's really declined from the Cy Young Justin Verlander that we saw last season. And the Mets have the highest payroll in baseball, too, right now, and they're 6 games under 500. So nothing is going right for New York. And when I look at the Dodgers, a lot is going right for them. They haven't spent a ton of money this year on players relative to past seasons, but they're still getting the job done. They've overcome a ton of adversity, losing Gavin Lux in the preseason, obviously, still finding a way to bounce back. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, these guys are getting the job done consistently. And when I look at Arise, he's been solid this season, and I think he's going to show up here. He doesn't have to be great. He just has to be good enough to allow the Dodgers to get some runs and get on board here, and I think they're going to do that. So Dodgers on the money line for a fair price of -125 on the road.
Yep, and the Dodgers bullpen has been a concern all season long, but you know who else has had a bullpen that has been very concerning all year long? The good old New York Mets as well. So it helps be able to mitigate that a bit. And then this is a spot where typically I don't like to lay about a -145 to a -150 on the money line, but sometimes you just see a one-run game, and sometimes you want to be taking a look to see how the money line compares to the run line, and we've got that with the Rangers versus the Cleveland Guardians. Aaron Savalia is going to be going for Cleveland. John Gray is going to be going for Texas. Pair of guys I think we might see a little bit of regression from in the second half of the season, but with Texas, far better offense. Even though it's -145 to -150, I'm willing to bank on that offense in a game that I think that they could probably pull out, but I think it's more likely than not going to be a one-run win.
So I like the Rangers in the spot. I'm willing to lay -145, -155, depending on what you can get. Aaron Savali's been good, don't get me wrong. 3-2, 2.56 ERA with a whip just over 1, 40 hits allowed in 52 innings. But when I look at the Rangers in this spot, John Gray has been similar to him. 1.14 whip, only 76 hits allowed in 93 innings. The walks have been an issue, I'm not going to lie there. But this Cleveland offense isn't that scary behind Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor. Those are the 2 hitters that you got to watch out for. Other than that, I think there's a lot of opportunities for John Gray to have successful strikeout opportunities, and also this Rangers offense has been on fire. So I think they're going to stay hot in the second half, continue their push in the AL West, and get the job done here.
Yep, and when it comes to this spot as well, I'm right there with you with the Texas Rangers. And Aroldis Chapman getting picked up in that bullpen, I think that that's going to be very big as well, because the one kryptonite that you've had with the Rangers this season has been that bullpen. And what is never a weak point on this show is getting great guests, because we typically are able to get on Tanner Kern every week, and Tanner does tremendous work over at DraftKings, and on top of all the work that he does in baseball, you've heard him on basketball as well. He's doing a great job getting set for the NFL season, and I know he's got some player awards that he's got lined up, and we're going to be talking about those next right here on the Greg Peterson Experience on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.